for being with us, Alistair, today.
Yeah, sure.
Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about your background, maybe?
Yeah, so I am the CTO, as you said, at Ohalo. What we do, we are in the data governance space. So we help large enterprises understand their data landscape and make sense of their unstructured data. So we specialize in unstructured data, as in office documents and that might be on network drives or SharePoints or Google Drive or Gmail or Outlook or what have you. And our flagship product is called the Data X-Ray. So what the Data X-Ray does is that it's installed on premise, on client servers behind their firewalls, and it is an application that can be used to scan document stores and find either sensitive data inside those documents or find salient data for a particular business use case that they might have. So I've been at Ohalo for 7 years. We've been working on this for about 7 years now, and so what we do is we essentially have 3 parts of our product to address those use cases. One part is the discovery part, where we discover the data. Another part is the classify part, where we classify it, and then there's remediation, where you can export off or integrate with other data catalog products.
What was the challenge that brought you to Visuality Systems?
So over in the enterprise landscape, we have an enterprise will typically have a variety of different data sources, and this is going to be data sources from that kind of fit all sorts of different use cases of theirs. But what we typically see, one of the most common ones, I would say, maybe just behind SharePoints and OneDrives, is just network shares and file servers that the clients have, right? There are, so this is an especially, so it's quite common to come across these, and the best way to connect to these file shares is through SMB, and the tricky thing about connecting to these file shares, which we have to do, I mean, it's just they're like I said, they're quite common, is that there's just so many different kinds of SMB servers, and each one is going to just implement the SMB protocol in a slightly different way. And there are, you really need to have a very well-built, strong SMB client that is robust and works on with any SMB server. It is one of these things where they're all supposed to follow the SMB protocol, but sometimes they can be implemented in slightly different ways or configured in slightly different ways. So you really need a well implemented interface to them. So that was the problem that we had to solve, I would say.
Where did you look for solutions? Maybe you tested something else before, or? We
did indeed, yeah. We tried pretty much everything in the open source, I would say. We had tried, I think there's a Java CIF, like CIFS library that we tried. We tried a SMBJ, which is another open source library. And they both were, I would say, very compelling open source projects that were addressing the space, but they were not at the level of robustness that was required for enterprise software, and we also did not have the level of support that we required in order to be able to deliver a satisfactory solution to our enterprise clients.
So how did you reach out to us? How did you find about
So
our product?
I think I must have first come across it with from the front page of Google when you type in SMB client. So that is what first made me aware of Visuality Systems. And then I think Tall, he saw that I was posting GitHub issues in the SMBJ forum and reached out to me saying, you know, who he was. I think at that time SMBJ was already on my, sorry, Visuality Systems was already on my radar. And so I think Tall saw me asking for support in the SMBJ forums and made an introduction that way. And, you know, I think at that point, I was already convinced that I needed to buy, and I think, you know, I had already started conversations about budgeting for it with my CEO even before I jumped on the call with Tall. So it was kind of a done deal. Like, but by the time we had our first conversation, I would say. You know, what especially at that time, and we still are now, a young, scrappy startup that is taking on incumbents in the space. And I was impressed at that time at SMBs. I thought Visuality Systems had a very nice personal touch that I respected a lot, and a pretty personable approach to the business and understanding our needs, which I respect a lot too, and that's something that I got from Tall in that conversation. So that helped the process quite a bit. Tall was, you know, able to was quite interested in my use case and was interested in really making something work for us, which was really good.
What was the things that made you feel that you did the right choice?
You know, we have to transfer. We had to do scans where we transferred, you know, terabytes and terabytes of data using this thing, doing crawl, like very high demand use of the client. And we had we would be able to, we could tell right away that it was not flaking out in certain, you know, it was able to handle the production load, and it was able to work. That's something that we had just never seen before. So.
Okay, so performance and stability maybe, as opposed to maybe alternative.
Yeah, robustness and stability was, I would say.
Okay. How was the deployment process?
Definitely. I mean, I thought the onboarding was relatively bare bones, but you know, you really don't need much to get going with this particular piece of technology, right? Like couple snippets of example code, and the library that you can just, you know, drop into your sort of development environment.
Right.
That was all. Yeah, that was all we needed.
Okay, so quite plug and play.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Did we enable something that you couldn't do before?
Yeah, I mean, we just could not scan network drives before. This was like the only solution that would let us scan network drives.
Regardless the volume, the number of files, and
yeah,
I understand.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We just hadn't had any success before.
What would you tell to other people who are considering our solution?
If you have serious enterprise needs, I would say if you if you need an enterprise level solution, then save yourself the time. Just go with Visuality Systems. It's the only solution there is. That's what I would say, like, you know, if we were talking informally. But yeah, it really is. There's no other solution. You can't get it to work. You don't want to implement it yourself, and you can't get it to work using open source solutions.
So you can do it yourself, and you cannot rely on open source.
Yeah, you don't want to do it yourself, because you'd rather kind of focus on things that are you know, compelling, like use cases that this enables. This is something that you should just have as a very reliable part of your business, and build a business on top of it, build a business with it. Like, you don't want to specialize in. It would take you months and months to actually do what Visuality Systems does. You know, their product is, it's one of these things where you, I mean, it's sort of a solved problem, so to speak. It's just file transfer and directory listing, you know, and you really, but problems like that, in order to do them well, they take a lot of time. You have to, like, really encounter bugs in the wild, resolve them, fix it. You just need that deep sort of specialization and that deep experience in this in order to get it right. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
How likely are you to recommend our solutions to others on a scale from 1 to 10?
Probably 10. I'm trying to pick between 9 or 10.
9.
Yeah, the other thing about Visuality Systems that I really like is like the support. I think the support's pretty good. You know, like, you get a response very quickly, and you're able to and I'm able to move on that quite quickly. And you know, I mean, my most recent support interaction, they really, I think, went the extra mile and ran some sample code for me, and you know, tested out something that I was asking them about, and that I appreciated quite a bit. So again, that, like, goes back to their. I do feel like there's a fair amount of enablement that Visuality takes very seriously.
We are an enabler.
It let me evaluate something that I was considering doing, and I thought that was very good.
Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Have a great
Thanks.
day.
It was nice chatting with you. Thanks a lot. Always a pleasure to hear from Visuality Systems.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Yes.